Welcome back to another episode with Metamorphosis, Brother Neil Frazier. And we're going to deep dive today. I
Yes,
did a
sir.
band-aid on my audio, so it might be a little delay when you hear me talk, but we're not here to hear me talk. We're here to hear what you have to say. And I see you have that notebook, and I know that it's got
Yeah,
some.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
it's the opposite effect of where you had a teacher that you didn't fancy, right? And you see
Mhm.
them coming with all this paper, you're like, oh man, we're gonna have a lot of work. But when we see you, we like you, we favor you, and when you come with the notes, that's looking like groceries to a hungry household. We're like, whoa, we're gonna eat today. So I'm
Yeah,
interested in the topic, and like I said, I've been waiting all week for it,
yeah,
and some technical difficulties trying to get in with our audio, but I patched it up, and hopefully there's no delays and no echoes, and
yeah.
everything's good. Everything's good. So how are you doing this week and all?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Like I was telling you, I actually got my Reiki treatment this
Mm-hmm.
for this year, this weekend. And boy, it opened some real floodgates, which was good
Mm-hmm.
because it's something that I like to do after a couple of months. And because the energy is so powerful that
Right.
it takes time for you to absorb it. And I was telling you the first. Oh, by the way, greetings to you, brother Lance. I know you've
Yes,
been
sir.
busy. I've been trying to keep up with you, which I've learned not to try to do now. But I've seen a lot of the. I caught a few of the shows. Great, always great information.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
brother.
yeah, man. And I want to send out some glory to everybody under the sound of my voice today. Um, so yeah, so this topic came about because, like I said, the first thing that came to my mind after I came out of the Reiki treatment, and by the way, it was a distant treatment, so you
Mhm.
can either do, you know, in house or distant, and they both have kind of a similar effect. Although when you're physically in the presence of somebody, of course, it's going to be different.
Right.
But the first thing that popped into my mind was my first childhood hero, Medgar Evers. And I told you I watched Ghosts of Mississippi. Yes, I want to, you know, and and then I realized that sometimes when we go through life, we really forget the things that are rooted in us because this energy that's opposed to us have done a very effective job by keeping us closed in. So we don't want to be in touch not only with other people but with ourselves. So we're always
Right.
wearing these masks, black skin, white mask type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I admire him so much. And the other thing too is, at the time, everything we learned I learned from my brothers, like I told you, that brought back the books from Tuskegee, because at that time they never put this kind of stuff in the books that we were reading in school, in public school.
Right. Right.
And I remember I was a young boy under the age of 10, and every time my brothers bring the books, I was just so fascinated because you're not used to seeing black people in textbooks,
Right.
right? And I remember I was looking at him, and you could see the strength in this brother. And then you think about so he served the United States military, um, which I know today is Memorial Day. A lot of the people that served, we give kudos to you. A lot of people that go in the military, I know, don't a lot of them they serve the country without really realizing what's the big picture is behind what they're doing, right?
Right.
So they always try to make it seem like black people are against the military. Look, most of our friends and family were in the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we couldn't get jobs, so that was the best way to escape a lot of the poverty, well, not poverty, but a lot of the things, you know, our people always told us, because our people, our ancestors believe in America, man, because of their blood, sweat, and tears they put invested here. And we genuinely believe that, you know, if we work hard, go in the military, blah, 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 then we'll be rewarded, right? So anyway, when I looked at the Ghost of Mississippi, it brought back a lot of memories. And I was telling you, I was listening to Bobby DeLauder, which, so Whoopi Goldberg played Medgar Evers' wife, Merle Evers, who is a fascinating lady. She's a picture into how our women used to be when they upheld our communities, right? Not saying that some of them don't now, I'm just saying this is the prototype. And like I told you, Bobby DeLauder was saying, what is it that would make a woman hold the memory of a man alive for 30 years? And then the investigator that was working for him said, hell, I'm alive and I can't get a woman to love me for a month. And so
that's funny. That's true in some cases too.
Huh?
That's true in some cases too.
Oh yeah, in a lot of cases it's true. I mean, you know, and it's only because this part of us has been taken away, you know, this mission and this connection to our genetic memory bank that we've always had, that has been severely cut. That umbilical cord to our ancestors has seriously been cut. And I remember hearing Merle Evers speak. She became the first president of the NAACP. And, you know, I get the history of, you know, the NAACP and things like that. But what we have to look at with the organizations back at that time, a lot of them were at the mercy of certain people who exploited them, right? For their own purposes. And a lot of that we'll get into today. And I remember her saying that Medgar was not just her husband and friend, but he was someone that inspired her, because at that time, again, we're looking at a very courageous man, because he was under terroristic threat from the Klan every day, just like all of our brothers during that time. Great, smart brother who's buried in Arlington Cemetery, and we salute him today for the sacrifices. He was the first one to organize. He was the field secretary of the NAACP in Mississippi, which was one of the most brutal societies for a black man to try to stand up in. But he organized the first voter right registration in Mississippi. And I remember they said he outsmarted. They didn't like him because the brother was smart. You know, I think he went to Alcorn State. He was one of the first ones to graduate from there. And he said, okay, well, we're going to use this hate against them, right? So he became an insurance man. And so he could go to the different plantations. Well, you know, they were still plantations, but they were in the Jim Crow era, right? Obviously. Right. And people try to act like these plantations still don't exist. So anyway, long story short, so he came up with a brilliant idea. He would go in, talk to people about getting insurance, and then he would see the different people, black people that worked in these homes, and somehow get information to them about voter registration. But they were very angry. They eventually convicted Byron D. LeBethworth, this white supremacist coward that shot him in the back. And I just wanted to salute him today, because many times we forget about our own heroes and sheroes. Yep. You know, we anytime the system says we have to recognize and salute certain people, then that's what we feel. But our children should know who this man is. he inspired Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, maybe the minister, and a whole lot of young black men during that time that was standing up. Stokely Carmichael, I think I heard. It was a Stokely Carmichael. One of those guys I heard them talking about, but he inspired a whole generation in the 60s.
And this is to say how when you're doing what it is that you're put here to do, that energy is never going to leave. Even when sometimes you feel that you're doing something in vain, but the people that become inspired by you, you might not even live to see them continue on what you started, even if they do what they do in a different way, they still take that basic energy. So you have to know that whatever you're putting out there, somebody's grabbing onto, somebody's seeing it, somebody's being inspired by you, whether you know it or not. And through books and through film, or even dealing with people and they're younger, and what you've done and the groundwork you've laid. So this research and the things that you're talking about on these shows every week that we do, somebody's watching it. Somebody will watch it if they haven't seen it. Even if they didn't know your face before, they're like, wow, you know, this brother, I got this from this person. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And you may not even know. And they're somewhere in a different state, different part of the world. And the rewarding part is when you do run into somebody who was touched by you, even if it's just a sentence or a comment, you know, a lot of people watch you and know who you are, man. And you're not doing this for popularity, but the energy that you're putting out there is very positive and it's helping the momentum of a righteous movement for us.
Well, I appreciate that, Lance. I can say the same to you, man. The energy and the work that you put in, it's very appreciated because when you put in work, you know that a person is actually putting in work. But just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, one of the things that I realize is we sell each other short. But when it's time to do the same thing for other people, we put our whole heart and soul in it. So I made up in my mind a long time ago that whenever I got an opportunity, what is 8 hours for our people to put out something? And the other thing too is, you know, I know I use the old fashioned way, but I use it because to me,
the best way.
It's the best way. I'm putting my energy. Chat GPT is not doing this. I'm doing this. And so when you put your energy in it, it takes on a whole different dimension. And many times when we put the artificial into, that's why we have to teach our children to express themselves, you know, in on paper or write or do something. Because if they get in the habit of getting everything from artificial intelligence, then guess who's going to control how they think, how they express themselves? So in that sense, this is the energy and passion coming through me here. And that our people deserve better than you just getting up doing this, because that doesn't do, and the energy is reciprocal. And I want to say, Lance, you know, because of the type of person you are, and then we'll start out with the visuals, that a lot of the people, see, again, we think you have to have a whole crowd. Actually, it's better to have 10. I'd rather have 10 people with the same level of passion as I have than
That's right.
People.
That's right.
Okay. And so, you know, the energy works both ways because out here, you have to really, really, if you are involved with trying to change the narrative for our people, you have to really, really put some time and energy and effort into it. And the last thing I'll say is I recently connected with a brother that's doing a fascinating job. He's from here. He's from the Bayview area, but his organization is in Oakland, and they put on hip hop shows and teach. And I met him through another brother I was partnered with out of Richmond. So I'm excited because of that opportunity now. And people might say, well, you know, see, we sit back and we criticize the children, but in a lot of ways, this is all they have to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can do something to help show them within the gifts that they're, because again, we landlock our children with this 90-degree way that they have us thinking. No, be creative as long as it's not destructive. Because this is the energy that will sustain your generation. So, yeah, brother. So what I'm gonna do real quick. Again, from the feedback I get, the script works, and it does because again, we have to look at all aspects of how our people. Even if I even listen to some gospel music, just to realize that okay. This is from the soul of Black folks. It doesn't have to have. It doesn't have to be connected with the falsehoods that are being preached to our people, and we can separate the soul and sounds of our people. And that was a good show you did about the artificial. What is it? Being connected with us now. In a way where we're like in a relationship with it.
Right. I spoke earlier about are we losing our souls to artificial intelligence?
Yeah, right. I saw some of that.
Along the same point of what you said just now, because when we vibe that way, I believe there's something taking our essence from us.
Absolutely.
And we're losing our ability to have an imagination because things are being put to us. They got this thing called VO3 now. A VEO-3 that you can put a few prompts in and it puts a movie. I mean, realistic looking, like real and talking and all of this stuff. So what happens to reading a book and imagining things?
Exactly.
That's building us up. And then we can take that imagination and vibe with somebody else. But when we have it given to us all the time, it's not working certain parts of us and we're disconnected.
And
our humanity and our
the way they are. We're not wired the way they are in the sense that part of our struggle now too is ever since that solar eclipse on your birthday, the energy, the electromagnetic energy has changed. And so we're fighting a warfare on that level as well.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're intercepting your energy when you go to, and all of us have to use it. Okay. But I limit when it comes to artistic expressions, I don't use it at all.
Right.
And it's a lot of pressure from people for you to do that, but I know what my assignment is.
Right.
And it's also made us lazy, our minds lazy, our brains lazy. And you see,
you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah. But I agree with you. There's something that's intercepting that energy. And then when it puts it out, even though it may even sound like what we're saying, the energy of it is being artificial does something different to the spirit of Black people.
That's right.
It really does.
That's right.
So yeah, brother, I'm going to go through this script and then I'm going to explain the videos one by one because they are very important in terms of where we are today and looking back at how this has always been an attack on our, What'd you say, Lance?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything.
Okay. Okay. So this script is entitled Warning to Rich Oppressors from the book of James 5:1-6. Now listen, you rich people. Weep and wail because of the misery that is coming to you. Your wealth has rotted and moths have eaten your clothes. Your gold and silver are corroded. Their corrosion will testify against you and eat your flesh like fire. You have hoarded wealth in the last days.
Power on. Charging USB device.
The wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvesters, black people, have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence, and you have fatted yourself in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and murdered the innocent one who was not opposing you. Before I go into the presentation, brother, sorry about that. Okay,
Sorry.
there's something working against me here. All right, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start out with the videos. If you would start out with the original one of the medieval feudalism system, and this is very important. I spent a day going through these visuals.
Is that it?
It's the, yes, that's it. Okay. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my visuals so I can see it, because it's kind of small on my screen here. But I want to explain this because this is so very important to us realizing that we have been duped by a system that has never been in place for us to thrive. But you have to go back, like everything else, you have to go back to the history, to European history, to actually see the dynamics of what we're facing. So, and also we have the modern day equivalent of this chart as well to break this down before we get into our presentation. So here you see in this feudalism system, the king was at the apex of power. What the king owned all the land in the country and made the laws. And he gave an area of land called a fief to rich lords and nobles. Okay, and so that is this level here. Okay, and we're gonna see when we look at the modern day structure of this system that Europeans have always used and told you that it was something different, like capitalism or what have you. Now, there is a form of capitalism in America, okay, but it's only practiced by capitalists, not you. And this is where we have always gotten twisted on this. So what happens is, in return, the lords and the nobles agreed to supply the king with soldiers and horses for his army. So that is at the level, okay, that we're going to look at when we compare the modern day module of this system, because again, this system is the one that we have always lived under European rule. I don't care what else, whatever they call it, or however you perceive it, this is the actual social, economic, and governmental system that we have lived under. So the nobles gave, huh?
I just said, wow. You know, when you look at it, you see it laid out like this.
Yeah. But, you know, they're putting a lot of work fooling our people. And of course, we'll cover that. The nobles gave some land to professional soldiers. So what they did was they hired out these different military groups like they do now. And we're going to see what happens when martial law is declared, that the president has the power. People don't realize how much they are messed up. But the president has the power at this time to deputize militias, okay? And we're going to talk about that because that's very deep. A lot of people, they bury a lot of things because our people don't deep dive with the things that they do, because they have told you that they're good Christians, so you trust them to do the right thing, okay? It's just what it is. Now, at the next level, in return, these knights fought for the nobles and the king. Okay. That's what you see here. So the nobles and the kings, what they did, what the lords and the nobles did was they provided food for the knights at that third level. They provided shelter for them, military service, and we'll see the equivalent of this level today, and how it operates. We'll even look at the technological module as well. So then we get down to the level where 98.5% of all people living under European rule is at. And that is the serfs and the peasants. So here again, we see that the knights, they provided the food. You had to farm the land for them, like our people have done, like they did with the Latinos. And then they offer you protection in your neighborhood through law enforcement or whatever other means. You pay them rent, for the properties that you manage to live in, for shelter. And so the peasants worked the land for the nobles and knights, who in turn offered them protection. Okay, brother, you can go to that next one. Let's see.
Which one?
Feudalism, perfect. Feudalism,
okay.
Then and now. Okay, so we see the system that I just explained, and the terminology that we're going to use, particularly corporate feudalism. We're going to see the players in this game, and it's going to shock you, the percentages, as we break this down. So let's deal with the medieval feudalism, again, system that we've always lived under European rule. So here we have the monarchs, the kings, the queens, the emperors, who they controlled the whole country. Everything was under their power. Sort of like the royals now in England, who are worth trillions of dollars. Then at the second level, we see now only 0.0001 of the population would be considered kings, queens, or emperors of the feudalism system. And then we have the landed gentry, the dukes, the earls, the barons, which we know is at that noble and lord class. Only 0.001 percentage, fits into this category. Then we have the clergy, the archbishops, the priests, or what have you. You can throw the pope in there. They're 0.35% of this system. Then you have the royal ministers, who are the counselors, constables, sheriffs, in other words, the law enforcement, military. Then you have the merchants, they're corporate partners, who are the traders, employers, such as the East Indian Company, British company, that still is connected to America. Then you have the vassals, which are the tenant farmers, the military officers, which is 0.75. And then we have everyone else, the peasants, the laborers, or what have you, at 98.5%. As you can see, you or we are here. Okay. Now, let's look at the modern day corporate feudalism system, which we are under. Here you have what can be considered the kings, because they are, when you come to, looking at like the World Bank, the Federal Reserve. A lot of people don't know the Bank of Japan is very powerful. And these are the central bankers. They are above the governments of the world. The World Monetary Fund. Then they are, so it's still the same percentages across the board. And next you have the big bankers, the J.P. Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, the Lords of London, these big insurance companies. All right. Next you have the corporate elite, the Fortune 500, multinationals or internationals. And next we're going to look at that chart I have of that, Lance. But here you have the corporate elite or the corporate partners. Okay. They are the Fortune 500 and multinational companies, as we said. And then, believe it or not, all three of these branches are above our government. You have the elected officials, the presidents, MPs, the House of Representatives. All of these people fit into that category, which is 0.2% of the power structure. And then you have the top bureaucrats, the commissioners, the secretaries, the judges, the people that actually run the law enforcement arm, or I'm sorry, the judicial arm. Well, you can put law enforcement up under, but they control the judicial branch. Okay. And then we have the top professionals, the doctors, entertainers, clergy, what have you. And then we have, again, the 98.5%, everyone else, the workers, students, soldiers, or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wow. Let's go to the one where it shows the digital breakdown. I'll know it when you come to it. Yeah, that's it right there. Now, Black folks, we have a major issue. And I'm going to tell you what this issue is, okay? This issue is when you look at the headquarters of all the major corporations in each state, none of these corporations are owned by any people that look like you and me. See, this is what our real dilemma is, brother. And that's why this feudalism system have always been in place to keep us locked out of this. And we're going to see today the plan called the King Alfred Plan that's now morphed into Project 2025, how this was effectively done and why you don't see the connection. And Lance, you were mentioning earlier how, things are passed down and people have to be aware of this because it's actually, these people are aware of this, but all of these corporations. So in each state, when you look at these major corporations, they have no relationship with any subsidiaries that exist in the Black community. And this is where our real power vacuum is. It's not politics, okay? Politics is just to keep you dumbed down.
Yep.
And now I'm not surprised because I've always seen that they had to dumb down what you refer to as the middle class white people before they got to us, because those are the ones that fight to stay ahead of us. Those, and then the lower class ones who they'll go along with any type of hate as long as it means that they have some type of advantage over Black folks and now brown people. But yeah, this is the major power vacuum that we have, where they have taught us that politics is the power vacuum that we're suffering. Okay, brother, you can go to the next one. This is okay. So if the U.S. land were divided like the U.S. wealth, then look at the 1% of the people in this country who we just talked about, the kings, the Luciferians, in my mind, would own half of the United States. And then you have only 9% of the people just below them on that structure we showed, the feudalism structure would own this much land. 20% would own just that piece, a little slice there you see. And then the rest, 40%, would own just that little red dot there. And when you look at it that way, you can really see, again, while they always lie to us about the progress that we're making. See, we make individual progress. And again,
Right.
this has hurt us because they have taught you, as long as I have a car better than you, a house better than you,
Yep.
Gucci clothes, bags better than you. I'm so glad the Chinese exposed the truth. It's just garbage, bro. But see,
Exactly.
this is where they have, that's why they always laugh about this word woke. That's why they laugh at you about this. Because this is a private joke that all white people know at that level. Okay. Okay, brother, you can go to the next one. Okay, so this is the one involving the tech companies that we just showed. Now, you see here the platform owners, the major ones that we use, the technology companies that are mainly here. While you saw the Apple emblem on the map, is like, what is it? Google, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Okay, these are all the platform owners. Or another way to look at it, when you look into the sports world, where you look at the owners, okay, who are still basically, we have the same relationship with them that we had on the plantation, where they own all the land, like we explained earlier, that the king or the Luciferians own all the land. And then they have these other branches. So here is what I mean. When I said that we have a power vacuum, when we looked at that chart, the last chart, it's because all of the corporate partners of these platform owners, none of them look like you and I. Now, I'm not talking about, so the thing is what I'm trying to explain is that there is still the same fundamental structure. And to the credit of Black people, we have always learned, like you, a brilliant brother like you, Lance, learned to manipulate, or the words our people like to use, to hustle these systems. And this is why Black folks are able to survive more than any other people, because I'm telling you, they dropped the X on us, and we're going to see today a long time ago. There is no accident. You know, that's why when you hear the stepping fetchings of the world, you know, when we hear them, and by the way, Stephen Fetching was an amazing man, but, you know, he played that dumb role, laziest man in the world. He was the first actor that white people made a millionaire in Hollywood because he was willing to play that role. But he was a very intelligent man. He actually wrote for, was it the Chicago Defender, I think? He wrote a weekly article for them. Now imagine this. But they said the women he was married to said behind the scenes he was very violent because he had to play this role clearly to get the fiat.
Yep.
Wasn't his real personality. And you know who I think of when I remember Urkel?
Yeah, Steve Urkel.
The first time I saw him in his natural state, I was shocked.
I know, me too.
Wait a minute, this is Urkel? Steve Urkel? No way. He was a smart young guy. But again, our people have to take on, like Dave Chappelle would say, you know, Black people have to learn to be two different people. That is a fact. Okay, if you're going to survive in America.
And be non-threatening to them. That's right.
That's right. That's right. Non-threatening. And that's why the dumbing down, they can't stand to see real strong images of black males or black females for that matter. They want to put you in a dress. They use words like DI, not knowing it meant them.
Right.
Anything, and see, this is low vibratory stuff, bro. This is caterpillar behavior. And as you know, you can't have butterfly conversations with caterpillar people. Just plain. Okay. So they're the ones that they're fooling themselves. So that next level, the power users and influencers like you, brother. I'll put you in that category. Because again, you cannot be a power user or influencer in this system if you did not know how to use it to your advantage. And this is where black folks have learned to survive. Okay, and this system again was designed for us to fail. But again, you know, when our pineal glands are open and we look at truth, it can't be stopped. Okay.
Right.
So, and then the 98.5% of the users like me and other people.
Oh, no, you're an influencer. You're a power user, brother.
Well,
even
yeah,
if your
I
hand
look at
doesn't.
myself as a power user. I do. But what I mean is that I don't use the system as much in terms of how other influencers use it. You see what I'm saying?
No, so I understand what you're saying, brother. But the thing is that look at it where you have a very popular nightclub and you're a performer that's coming there. It's you who's going to pack the house because they're coming to see you.
That's a good
even
point.
Though you're using the actual structure of that nightclub. The nightclub is nothing without you. You see what I mean?
Yes, I got you. Yeah. So
like the other thing that I always say is that you can have the best plates in the finest 5-star restaurant, but nobody goes to the 5-star restaurant because of the plates. Because if the food is good, you can put that food on some clean hubcaps and they're still going to come and eat it off of it.
Well, you definitely squashed that argument right there. But yeah, but we see how in the modern world, this makes more sense now, right? Because now we see how this is broken down. Okay, brother, we can go to that next picture. And this simplifies it a little more because what we see now is, yes. Now, this simplifies it a little more because now we see this structure, the socio-economic political structure of what we just looked at. Okay. But how they okie doke you is they say, oh, that was a medieval system. Really? No, it's the same system you're under now that we've always been under. But now you have what you call a president as the king. But you still have all of these other, branches that we talked about earlier underneath that. Okay, so, and I believe it's one more, okay, with the big clown. Oh, yeah. So this is who we pay homage to every day. Okay. Well, they're holding the big bag and they're telling you no pain, no gain. You gotta, the grind, which you feel that if you're not grinding, then you're not, whatever. But as you can see, the real truth is the U.S. worker is overworked, underpaid, downsized, and outsourced.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Okay. Yeah, brother. I mean, when I became aware of this system, years ago, I said, I want to learn. Okay, I'm done with the visuals. Thank you, Brother Lance.
Okay.
I want to look at the system because something it's like a rat being in a hamster wheel and just the wheel spinning around and around and around, but the rat ain't never going nowhere.
There you go.
I said, okay. We always knew that, just like how they created the ghetto. We know all of this. But we're going to deep dive today As we said on the banner, the name of the show today is Civil War II. Okay, class warfare and the rise of the oligarchy in America. Okay, now we're gonna discuss. Well, I'll give a brief description of an oligarchy. A small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. And like the graphics we showed you is what this is saying. Okay, basically. And then we're going to talk about class warfare, warning signs, political ideology, and political identity, the difference between that. And then we're going to talk about social ramifications, which is political disenfranchisement, social inequality, exploitation, martial law, and resistance. So before we do that, let's talk about something that's very, 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 I can't put enough varies in there, important, that we have to bring back to our people's remembrance. And we're going to go back to where this, because see, there's been a cabal of people that have always planned against our people to keep us in the condition we're in because they know what our real power is. This is the reason why they're after this young brother, because I'm telling you, man, he is definitely the biggest threat to them today. And that is because what I'm going to read to you today, he has stood opposed to this, just like the ones that walked before him. And it's called the King Alfred Plan. In 1960 to 1964, the National Security Council developed a governmental program called the King Alfred Plan. And this plan, which is the reason why they need martial law to actually put it into motion. Under this plan, they had the power to arrest, detain, put in encampments, and exterminate the Black population in the United States. So what we're seeing today with the Hispanics / Latinos is, in 1984, this plan was amended to include Hispanics and Latinos because it was originally meant for us. But when they began to, populate the country more, then they said, okay, we got another group of melanated people that we got to deal with. So, and what happened was, it was a policy planning study entitled Rex 84, or Readiness Exercise 1984 Bravo, which was a classified scenario and drill developed by the United States. So they actively, just like how you have when you practice drills, like you're in school, what they do with the kids in public schools, how when there's a fire, you got to go, this is a plan, escape plan. Well, ever since this time, way back 1960, could have been earlier than that, it's just that this when they put it on paper. Certainly we know that this took place in slavery time. But they put this as part of the laws in America. And so this classified scenario and drill developed by the United States was actually, what happened was this guy named George Kennan, back in, I think, February 1948, he was a State Department planning staffer. And it was him that stated that the U.S. has 50% of the world's wealth while having only 6% of the world's population. Memorandum 46, Lance, I think I've heard you talk about this before. states that black, and see, this is the main reason why they have our people beefing with each other, not knowing. Or this is the main reason why they pay the step infections to go against our people. Okay, this is the main reason right here. So Memorandum 46 states that blacks must never be allowed to unite in the diaspora. And that is very, very significant because this was something that they actively planned. When I say actively, they actively planned it. So in 1975, Memorandum 200, which was a national security memorandum that was brokered by then Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, stated that a reduction in the world's rate of population is vital to U.S. security, or what they called the depopulation plan. And since we will require large amounts of resources from less developed countries, then we are going to have to put something in place that we'll be able to carry this out. And on May 23rd, 1977, then President Jimmy Carter commissioned a study of how the reduction of the world's population can be achieved. He ordered Congress to conduct a 3-year study, which they termed Global 2000, and report back to the president, whoever that president is at that time. And see, that goes with what you were saying earlier, how these people are aware, even though we are not aware. They are aware of passing this down until they get someone in the position of authority, like they do now, that can execute this. So they'll wait 50, 60 years. Well, black folks don't have the patience for us to try to build something for 1 year.
Right.
And this is where, they believe in the principle of delayed gratification. I give them that.
And we also have to see ourselves beyond our generation.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
if you want to
talking about that, yeah.
Yeah, the common term millionaire, for the sake of being brief,
Okay.
which is much more than just being a millionaire, giving somebody $1 million or getting $1 million. We are all millionaires in our bloodline if we start something that will go beyond us. Maybe we'll see it in our lifetime, maybe not. But a lot of us don't plant the foundation and start the foundation because we don't feel we'll see it in our lifetime, and we can't stand to not see it. We have to see it because generally the way we're wired is that we have to wear our wealth on our sleeve and show it off.
Yes.
So if you're that kind of person, you're already defeating yourself because you're not going to get that instant gratification, but you can always get the delayed gratification. And instead of bragging about putting designer clothes on the backsides of your children, you should brag about how you instill some knowledge and a delayed gratification to see the overall. Because there are a lot of people who are set beyond their life. Their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren are set, and they'll walk past you in the street, and there's nothing about them that would scream out that they're set that way on a financial level and legacy level, right? Because my thing now, for me, I've never been flamboyant. I've never been one to wear all this jewelry and flashy stuff. And when I was younger, I've had a nice car or two, but I quickly didn't like it because you're paying every month for what? You understand? So now I've adopted the philosophy of striving to be the gray man. Listen, there's an R in there. I didn't say gay man. I said gray, like the color gray, right? And the gray man is the person that you don't remember. Okay, on this show, you'll remember, you'll see my name and all that stuff. When I'm out in the street, I'm trying not to be seen. You're going to look at me, you're going to see me, but there's nothing that's going to scream out about me. Oh, look at him, he's got that jewelry on. Look at him, he got those design of this. Now, I can dress nice when needed,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm not trying to make a scream of my presence to make myself a target. Also, the goal of putting my mind where it needs to be, right? So I want to be the gray man. I want to be the guy that unless I come to you and talk to you something knowledgeable, you'll pretty much forget me. There's a lot of stress that's going to be off of you, and you won't be a target. You see what I mean?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And that's so very important, brother. It's the way that we have been taught is that, yes, I get what I need or want, mainly desires here, to have a sense of self-worth. There is no legacy involved. There's no thought about the obligation we have to. That's the thing I love about Medgar Evers. Medgar Evers knew that they was going to take him out. I remember Merle Evers talking about that. He knew this. Now imagine a man having the courage of, and again, the difference is they face, well, it's not so much as a difference, but that environment that they're trying to recreate or make America great again was when they were allowed to do that unchecked. So the thing that we have to realize is, look, true wealth, like you're saying, has nothing to do with the fiat that, you know, they have taught our people is worth something. Because 97% of what is considered the dollar is in digital form. There's only 3% that's in paper form. And this is going to have a devastating impact on our community, particularly because of our worship of fiat. And boy, I tell you, I shudder when I think about the things that were prophesied to our people by our ancestors who have always tried to warn us about this day. And it's here, brother. It's here.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that happened on May 23rd, 1977, yeah, I talked about that with Jimmy Carter. And again, like you're saying, Jimmy Carter didn't, you know, he knew he wasn't going to be president in 2000, but he knew whoever the president was of the United States was going to be in line with this plan, because this plan was geared towards what they have always done, stolen resources. So you heard Henry Kissinger say that. And he was a major architect behind a lot of this because, you know, he was a Zionist. So he was one of the major architects behind this. Okay. So, and when they finally got the report in 2000, or whenever they got it, it stated that there will be zero population growth for whites by the year 2000. And we must do something in order to preserve the future for whites' survival. The lands with resources, mainly Africa and India and Asia, that the U.S. needs must be freed of its population, population control and reduction. And at that time, 6.35 billion of people on the planet in 2000, and then 5.2 billion of which are people of color. So there are a few other things that happened before we get into the actual Civil War aspect, which is going to be a war between the cultures, right? I mean, the classes, right? Which has always been but this is going to be the central, should I say, the central focus of this war. But June 23rd, 1988, President George H.W. Bush Sr. signed a document to convert military bases into prisons. I'm going to say that again. I'll read that again. June 23rd, 1988, President George H.W. Bush Sr. signed a document to convert military bases into prisons. And I remember when they started closing all these military bases, we was like, oh, it must be save money, right? Yeah, okay. And then Secretary of State James Baker organized a bank, wow, to finance, listen good, black folks, the extermination of blacks, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Africans, and all lands comprised of the diaspora. Okay. So this plan was not just a plan, but a bank. A bank was financed or set up just so this plan of action against you would have the financial backing. Today, they just fire you and take the money. But back then, when they cared about how people, treating the American people fairly, when they cared about that to some degree, it's not always, they didn't really care, but people's feet were being held to the fire. You had people who represented their constituents that actually went there and spoke up for the people that put faith and believed in them. Okay, not like these cowards today, where they know that people are suffering. They know this, brother. They're getting paid while all these people now are and then you're gonna throw salt and vinegar in the wound by slashing and cutting the social safety net from under people. So you tell me if that's the Christian God that you all believe in. I'm waiting. Because the thing about black folks, they get so angry at you if you don't say Jesus. They get so angry at you. So, I'm just saying, we need to start dealing with some of this stuff, because now these people have pulled completely the rug from under you. I mean, completely. So you can keep on with that crazy stuff you do if you want to. So its mandate, okay, its mandate was to pollute the waters in Africa, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and North Africa, and to destroy. Brother, are you gonna sit here and tell me you talking about some God that you believe in the Bible with some Holy Ghost when you are planning to pollute? Okay, let me read it, because this is in their official documents. You're planning to destroy the coastal fisheries, because our people were fishers too as well, and they depended on being able to fish to live. And this was in 1977, the United Nations Desertification Conference was held to destroy the woodlands in the Sahel region, where
Abraham Traore.
Oh, yes. See, that's why this young brother is so smart. Not only is he smart, he has the balls, let's keep it real, to stand up against these people who have always planned to kill our people. Look what they plan to do. Not only planned, they did this. Our presidents and our Secretary of States use the agencies in the United States government against its own citizens. But you're going to sit up here and tell black folks that you care, that you, well, not that they care about them, but that they looked at you as U.S. citizens. No, they didn't. They looked at you as enemies of the state. Okay,
Yeah.
that's bottom line.
Automatically.
And so people say, well, how can you hate somebody for the color of their skin? I don't know. You need to ask them that.
That's right.
Because they came up with a plan, not only to affect you here in America, but throughout the whole diaspora, mainly on Africa, on Akibalon.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't use the word Akibalon. They use Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So they set this up in order to increase the destruction of topsoil in Africa. Okay, so you couldn't plant nothing. Okay, this is cool, man. For the sole purpose to promote desert conditions that would make it almost impossible for them to grow crops. The fertility rates will be severely reduced. Okay, so they even attack our women to affect their fertility process. And the people will have to rely on cow dung for fuel. So again, I want to ask black folks, you think good Christians would do this? I'd like to, I really would like to confront our people on this, man. This is getting crazy. Because see, they're teaching our children this. There is no Jesus that's going to change this. And our children have to know that if they don't stand up and fight against this, it's always going to remain this way.
Right.
I don't care. You can go and do all the stuff you want to do with Jesus. My problem is what we're teaching our young people, who, by the way, thank goodness, have turned away from it. I'm going to be honest with you, brother. The only religious organization that has ever done anything to change the conditions of our people in America is the Nation of Islam. That is a fact. And so no organization is perfect, but let's keep it real, okay? There is no organization, religious or otherwise, that has ever done anything to uplift the socio-economic conditions of our people. Oh, I'm sorry, the Black Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
And they demonized them, but they were the ones they did a lot of fascinating things. They had the lunch programs for our children, breakfast programs, and they became a threat because this was a form of self-sufficiency,
right,
where we could cut you off and not depend on you to supply this for our community. But again, they turned them into a terrorist group. Who they had Second Amendment rights just like you. But then the only domestic terrorist that ever existed on the soils of this country, is the KKK and these other white supremacist groups that our people have lived under the threat of terror all of our existence from our first contact with these people.
So true. It's so true.
Yeah, man, it's sickening where they're parading our people. Every little thing that happened, they're parading us on the TV as if we're, man, this is. So here's the other asinine thing they did. So in this plan, they planned that the price of food, in Africa will increase 95%. And that food standards for agriculture in Central Africa food consumption will drop 20%, causing widespread starvation there. Now, but back during this time, you showing us young black African kids with flies flying around their eyes, swollen stomachs, look like basically skeletons. And you over there as a savior when you're the ones that produce this condition.
There you go.
Yeah. Just like the well, it's not coming to my the Hegelian dialectic, where they create the problem, then they come up with the solution to make you think when they're supporting both sides.
Yep.
Like they did when they sank the Lusitanian to start World War I, and then they made it seem like another foreign power. That's why we had to go to war. All that was done. They killed all those people so that they could start this war. And now we see how they do this. Okay. So 95%, and they said this in their own plan. Okay. They wanted 95% of the price of food to increase in Africa, which they knew that the food, and then what they did was they lowered the food standards in agriculture, okay, in Central Africa, mainly the Congo. We know, what's his name, King Leopold. There's no word to describe him in my mind. So the food consumption will drop 20%, causing widespread starvation there. For every $1 increase for Africa, there will be a $20 increase in America, in Western Europe, in Australia, in New Zealand, and Canada. Now, they've always tried to make Russia or China seem, but Russia and China didn't do our people this way. Okay.
Right.
It was only Western European countries that did this to our people while smiling in our face and sending you to churches clapping. And then, and then behind your back, they have a plan and using all of their power to bring it to fruition, even creating a bank.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there. Okay. They also use
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, they also use weather manipulation, which is the HART machine.
Yeah.
Which is a machine developed by the U.S. military that could manipulate the ionosphere, the electromagnetic waves. Some people say that's what started the what's the hurricane, the big one in New Orleans?
Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina. Some people say that was deliberately done by this HART machine. But yeah, so it's in their plan. Okay. Yeah. And this was to affect the crop growth so as to demand the import of food from Western nations in just one generation of time. So they were willing to do all of this, weaponize all of this against our people, okay, in order that we would be dependent on them importing. And that's been the relationship with Africa. That's always been their relationship until now. That Africa would have to depend on them to import food. God knows the GMOs that they tried to force on Nigeria. Remember that? And I'm glad they rejected it. So all this was a part of this. They didn't spare the Latin culture. In this U.S. model number 3, or what's called the destabilization plan, while all these people from these Central American countries are coming here in South America, there was a massive starvation of Latin American countries, including Africa and Asia, and that 80% of resources used in the U.S. are taken from non-white countries. Okay, and this is why this is why Africa is so poor today. And this plan was to incite a revolution amongst blacks and other people of color. All right, and this is a major component of the King Alfred Plan / Project 2025. Now, let's get to the part that our people don't realize yet, which white people know. They're just not saying anything. So they're complicit with this. And this is only because they keep our people so inundated with the uploads that we don't read things that are important that we need to know.
That's right.
But in this plan, in the event of unrest by black people, the King Alfred Plan, at the discretion of the President of the United States, can immobilize the following governmental agencies against U.S. citizens: the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ, the DOD, the DOI, or Department of Interior, the National Guard, and the state police, law enforcement. And in 1982, President Ronald Reagan and Colonel Oliver North amended this plan to include Hispanics / Latinos because it was originally designed for black U.S. citizens. And finally, in this plan, the president has the executive power to deputize state militias to round up blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and all other people of color deemed a threat to the United States. And see, this is what black people don't realize, okay, is that if they declare martial law, they're going to put this plan into effect, okay? Trust and believe this. Trust and believe that this is the next final phase for them to put this into motion. Now, let's get into our presentation today, brother. I'm going to go through this. Civil War II. You know, when we think of Civil War, we think about the North and the South, you know, the battle for the South to hold on to their massive wealth economy produced by our ancestors, and the Northern bankers who felt like, okay, well, we're not going to continue to, you know, finance you if we don't get a bigger piece of this pie. But this is class warfare. And this is the rise of that 0.0001%. And that chart that we talked about, in those charts we talked about today. So let's define an oligarchy again. It's a small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. Okay. And this is, so class warfare basically is a conflict or opposition of and contention between social and economic classes. It is said to exist because different groups of people have different interests, right? This is why we keep saying that just because you go to church and clap during the same hour, by the way, 12 o'clock is the most segregated hour and always has been in the United States. But you think because you're clapping and people preaching you at the same time that they have the same interests that you have. No, they do not. We just went over the plan that they have for you. Okay. Fascism, which is a far right authoritarian or not neo-Nazi plan with a transnationalist political ideology like you see today, or movement, and it is characterized by a dictatorial leader. Hope you're paying attention. And a centralized autocratic group of people. So we know who this is. We know the one thing that they did, and I always knew they were going to do this, is that they had to dumb down the white middle class to the point where they effectively use even the ones I guess they call liberals, the one Malcolm X warned us about. I don't care. I would prefer you being independent, an independent thinker. Okay.
Right.
But the way that it's set up in our country, a person who is an independent will never have power.
Right.
Because the same groups of people are financed by both parties. Some may be different in some areas, lobbyists, but when you get to that level that we've been talking about today, that 0.0001, and we're talking about the same players, okay, that they have fooled you and they got you fighting against each other. But the point is, they had to convince this class of white people that they were safe. But now black folks have always tried to tell them that they're not. And they always looked at us as the enemy, where black folks was just trying to survive. Okay. But they spent most of their time making sure they kept us in a perceived inferior state. And now this has really come back to bite them hard.
Yeah.
Okay. So a civil war is a war between organized groups within the same state or country. And it is a war between opposing groups within the same country or nation. So this war can be on several fronts. But one of the reasons why they always want to focus on the terrorism aspect, like I saw some Klans marching today, I don't know where, I just saw the news flash somewhere, that they want to use the same playbook, but black folks, hey, look, this ain't the 60s, man. Okay? Black folks not only will defend, but you're going to get beat down. And you're not just going to run up on black folks like you, but they use this fear and intimidation tactic that used to work for them. It don't work no more. Okay, and the reason it don't work, because we got fingers too. Okay, and we know how to use our fingers. You see what I'm saying? So they play this game with our people. The other thing too is they know that you don't have an economic base. And see, this is the danger that we're facing, that Dr. Claude Anderson pleaded with our people about this. I mean, literally for decades. But we're here, okay? And so now we don't have a choice. Like one of my brothers used to always say, we deal from crisis management mode, okay? So this is where we're at. Now, what are the warning signs of a civil war? It's rooted in a political ideology and a political identity. And let's clarify that. So a political ideology in political science, a political ideology is a certain set of ethical ideals and principles and doctrines, myths, or symbols of a social movement, institution, class, a large group that explains how society should work and offers some political and cultural blueprint for a certain social group and order of people. Now I'm going to read that again because this is the climate that we find ourselves in. This is the political ideology that has been captured by a group of people that has allowed this spirit of hate. I don't care how much you talk about some Holy Spirit, that have allowed this spirit of hate now to attack our people openly. And you know something, brother? This speaks to, I remember something Dr. Kojo said to me, is never forget who you are. And more importantly, never forget who the enemy of your people are. Because ultimately, they're going to show their hands, no matter how much they smile in your face. And one of the biggest tricks that they say that this person that our people call the devil played on the world was to convince you that they didn't exist. And to some extent, that metaphor is certainly true. But a white lady called a autistic black kid, 5 years old, the N-word. But then white people raised almost $1 million on GoFundMe. So all of this is why I always say all of the morality. That's why don't send me no more scripts. I'm telling you people who be sending me all these scripts, which I thank you for cutting down on it now that you know. Mean nothing. Okay? It's no more than a word. Because we all know, and we have over 500 treaties that was broken by the government in regards to Native people, okay, or our people, that was broken, over 500. Those are the ones we know about. So we know you don't keep your word. But it is the spirit of something that matters. Okay? And this spirit that they have shown us and continue to show us is how they really feel about Black people. There's no more time to sugarcoat this now.
Right.
The beast's fangs are open and it's coming at our people full force. And so we have a duty, those of us that know this, to stand up like our brother, Brother Lance, and like Brother Medgar Evers, and all of the people who stand up for truth that was coming after our people. You see, because the people that we're dealing with, this, when they had this veil over them, it was like they were suppressed. But now that this veil has been taken off, and I do believe that the creative spirit pulled this veil off. Okay. So that now we can see actually what they have always planned and continue to do. But I must admit, brother, it is kind of disappointing. And it's disappointing in the sense that your hatred for Black people supersedes the love you should have for, if not for Black children, for your own children, because they're seeing it too. That speaks volumes there. If you hate black people so much that you will show your children, and I actually feel sorry for young white children in a way, you know what I mean? Because now you're not born into this world of racist. They are taught this. I've heard some of them speak against this, and the fact that they want to learn real American history and black history in particular, because a majority of them are influenced by our kids in hip hop. Whether they want to, the majority of sales and all of these rappers that are in hip hop know this. The majority of their clientele, probably 70%, are white children that buy their music.
Yeah,
I think it's something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. And they hear the lyrics also. They hear the
know
righteous
I was
lyrics.
blown away when I heard these white kids saying I don't even know the rapper name, but they was doing this, and I was like, wow, they know the words and everything. So when we look down this rabbit hole, what they have done is they have convinced white people that their hatred for us, who in a way we have always been the moral standard for America. Our people have always suffered the greatest. So then they turn around and say, oh, they're playing the victim cards. And then they got the black parrots regurgitating this. It's very disappointing, because if it's more important for them. And that's why I don't believe in this thing about some Holy Spirit. Because clearly, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe something's wrong with me. But all I ever see is an unholy spirit or a counterfeit spirit. That's why I say this so much. Because I'm trying to see what our people are talking about, this Holy Spirit. I'm trying to see what they're talking about. Because when they say this, they act like this spirit dominates our brain. So all of a sudden now, we can't think because of this Holy Spirit you're talking about. Okay. So then, the other thing too that bothers me about this is that what are we going to do when our children, or when the young children ask about, because you hear them, they're confused about this. So when the leaders, the people that are responsible for setting the tone of a nation, has hate for the citizens, so-called, because I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't care. They can get mad with white folks or whatever. But black people have always been the backbone of America. I don't care if you don't like it, not just but mainly economically, but setting the social tone. And we are the ones that our leaders have always held this wicked government's feet to the fire. Okay, always have. And then I think about what our people, when you listen to them, I told you this before, Lance, in the slave narratives, they talk about a living fire. They never said nothing about no Holy Spirit. And for a long time, I didn't know what that meant. But then what they did with our people is they transitioned this living fire that our people used to talk about on these plantations into this Holy Spirit, because this is how our people were tricked. I don't care. They can get mad at me all they want. Call me a blasphemer. What? I'm way beyond that now. Because now we're talking about survival. Because they have put this on the level of a jungle, animals. And so to me, they're animals. And the reason why is because when I look on these nature channels and I see these damn lions and these crocodiles going after prey, that's what they're doing to us.
Yep.
We just had another brother hung somewhere. I think, I don't know where it was, but I hear these little things here and there, on the devices. You can't, and they do this to keep our people in this emotional. They're trying to do whatever they can to bring in this martial law.
Yep.
I'm going to make a prediction. And we celebrate our brother George Floyd. I don't care if he was, what kind of dope he was on. You don't have the right.
That's right.
And when you see that type of murder, or I should say unalive, happen, but we really know what it is.
Right.
On national, where people at this raw emotion, where you see this vampiric action against our brother, I don't care what his, because let me tell you something, brother, because they'll go right out and they'll say, oh, I saw this white man with a goddamn AR-15 walk up to a state trooper.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't fear for his life? Because I would have shot him like they do black folks. He walking up to the state trooper with an AR-15, and the state trooper just backed the hell up. If that was a black person, they wouldn't even have to have no goddamn AR-15.
Right.
Oh,
Just reach in your pocket.
Huh?
Yep. Just reach in your pocket.
Yeah, just reach in your pocket. So while we're not going to paint a whole brush saying that we know that there is an element that is there, that are race soldiers that come to destroy our young people or old people, whoever they can. So we're not going to play this game. So this political ideology was basically formed to trick white people, to put them in this, corner here and say everybody else, bubble is outside of this bubble. Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's real crazy. So let's look at and so the rich people, the 1% or the 0.00001% are just using them, man, like puppets on a string. They don't care nothing about you. They don't care nothing about what you are trying to do. And they tell you all this stuff and they make all these promises and they ain't talking about you. So while you still out here beefing with other black people, they're getting ready to show you something.
Mm-hmm.
You out here, Latinos, the ones that are beefing with our people, they're going to show you something. They're already showing you. So you better wake up, okay? I ain't talking about no woke. I'm talking about wake up and take these blinders off your eyes, because it's already almost too late. So the political identity, okay, is a form of social identity. I'm white, you black, you Latino, you Asian, whatever. Marking membership of certain groups that share a common struggle for a certain form of power. So sometimes when I get into this, I'll be scribbling a lot. So I'm going to read this again, because this is very, very important to what we as a people are facing today on the political level.
As you read that, I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. I'm coming right back. So continue.
Brother. Okay. So this political identity is a form of social identity marking membership of certain groups that share a common struggle for a certain form of power. And this can include identification with a political party's positions on specific political issues, which is classified as nationalism or inter-ethnic politics. Yeah. So finally, let's get to the social ramifications of what we have been talking about today. let's get to the social ramifications of this. And let's take a deep breath, because when we deal with this, we're going to have to look at this for what it really is, okay? Now, the social ramifications is the social economics and what happens during a class struggle and conflict. Okay, the minority classes often face marginalized, often feel marginalized, okay, and exploited. Okay, in a class conflict, the minority class, or the workers, the 98.5%, are exploited by the ruling class, or the capitalists, or the king that you saw up there in the lords. And the bourgeoisie, okay, or the ones who, and black folks know about the black bourgeoisie. Okay. This leads to a conflict of interest. Okay. They don't have the same interests that you do. Okay. And economic hardship, which is in political disenfranchisement and social inequality for the minority class, and lack of economic development in the black community. So this is why I said, when I showed the map of the headquarters of all our major or Forbes 500 corporations, that in every state in the United States, there's a power vacuum economically when it comes to black folks. This is by design. And even when you get to the second tier of the corporate partners, okay, we have this same issue. We don't have any black subsidiaries who are corporate partners, because that's the 0.0001% that we're still not a part of. Okay. So the other thing is the economic hardship, where because of the lack of economic development in the black community, there's an economic hardship that comes with this class warfare and this civil war. Okay, because what's going to happen is, guess who's all going to come together against you? They're going to come together against you. I don't care what they say on the news and the TV, and they're trying to fool you again. They're all going to come together. When it comes down to their survival and your survival, they're going to come together. You're the only one that's going to be still beefing with other black folks. I guarantee you. The Latinos are not going to be beefing with themselves. They do business with each other. I personally know that.
Mm-hmm.
The Asians, they got Chinatown. They ain't got to worry in every city you go in. Do you know where a black town is? Because I don't. Or these East Indians who are in bed with the Luciferians, that some of them blacker than you and me, they don't want you around either. Because they all know something that, well, now black folks know this, are openly talking about this. They all know that the game is rigged against you, and nobody wants to be on the side of the perceived loser. Everybody want to be on the winning side, right? That's why you buy lottery tickets. You don't want to just buy the lottery tickets and spend $20 just to lose. You want to see if you can hit.
That's right.
So they know that many of them, now they go and they read this stuff that I talked to you about today. But they don't have to dig like we do, because their white friends already told them about this. See, this is what our people don't get. But they're not Christians. They're Muslims. And I've said this before. Do you think it's by coincidence that the people or the cultural group that's on the bottom of the social, economic, and political ladder in America, Blacks and Latinos, are the largest groups of Protestants and Catholics in the United States? And they're at the bottom. Yet, the largest group of people who are non-Christians, who are Buddhists and Muslims from other countries, and they don't worship this Holy Spirit you're always talking about, or Jesus, okay, they're at the top of the socioeconomic ladder in America, the country our ancestors went to war and died, that we honor today, that bled and died for you, for this country, that labored in a goddamn 100-degree sun in Jamaica, in Haiti, in Mississippi, in New Orleans, in South Carolina, in Georgia, in Alabama. I can keep going. But yet they got this plan for you. I don't know what part you're not getting. Okay? So to all the good Christians out here, I just want to tell you that I still love you. Okay? But now you're going to have to wake the hell up. Okay? Right. You're going to have to, because what is it? I would say 92% of our people were raised in this religion, the slave religion, have taught everything that we know about the creative spirit. We have been taught through this. There's nothing wrong with the scripts, which were, by the way, plagiarized from Per M. Heru, or the Coming Forth by Day and Night. You can go look up yourself. You don't have to listen to Neil Fraser. But yet they wrote these narratives and created this Greek Septuagint that they didn't even consider you. But our people will turn against, just like my family did, will turn against their own people because of this religion. And this has come back to destroy us as a people. It already has. So this economic hardship, in this economic hardship that's produced from this civil war, the minority class may experience low wages. And we read in the script in the beginning what the consequences of these people who have done this to our people. Oh, they're not going to walk away scot-free, okay? You might not have the power to deal with it, but believe me, there is a power much greater than what they have taught you to worship, right, which is mainly them and their system. But the minority class in this civil war and this cultural conflict, okay, they will experience low wages, job insecurity, and a lack of access to resources and opportunities as their labor is exploited for the benefit of the ruling class. That's what you see now. And see, this was, oh my God, 65 years ago when they first put this plan into place. But you see how we talked about how they carried this down? They knew that they wouldn't get any results from this in terms of getting a picture from this study to the year 2000, but they knew they had to put it in place. How many initiatives have Black folks put in place where you know that's going to leave a legacy? Okay. So what they try to do is they try to make Black men, because we're torn from our families, to make us feel less than men, because they know we don't have the ability, in many cases, economically, to do white men and these other people that are a part of this system can do. And that's not making any excuses for, for things that have happened with black males. I'm just saying, lift yourself up, hold your head up. You don't need these people to give you no standards. You can still grow where you're planted. You could still get involved with our community, with our children, wherever they are. Okay, you can do this.
But see, brother, I just want to say something that when they know how the system works against us on a monetary level, of course, but on a psychological level, that when you carry yourself with your head up in a way that's not false, they wonder what you're connected to. See?
Yes.
We know that you should be walking, even the ones who may have muscles and big and physically strong. That means nothing. Because they'll see them like they're neutered. They can see someone damn near a midget, a little person holding themselves high and strong and mighty with purpose and walking with purpose. See me? I observe people in public and I see how they walk. And some people, we're speaking about men now. Now, I'm not man watching, right? I people watch, but according to what I see when I see men, you can almost see what's in their heart by the way they walk, right? When they walk with purpose, when they walk strong, it's almost like a soldier, okay? Because they know what they have to do for that day. They know what they have to do for the future. And even in their leisure time, on a day off from what they do, they still have this carriage about them that's very strong and connected because they know that they're upstanding. They know that they have a purpose in life. And that's the job of this system, that if you're not serving their purpose, they're going to cut you off to have no purpose. And because we don't have a purpose for our lives, many of us, independent of that man's purpose, we're okay. And we discussed about the military and said, well, back then it was a time when we can get away from being impoverished and get involved in things. But now a lot of us know the deal, right? And so when you break away from their system and you carry yourself a certain way, they want to know, where's this strength coming from? Because most of the time, the strength that we exude comes from, well, I work downtown at this particular corporate, and this is my position, and I have my office, and I have, but very seldom, and not in every case, because we have black businesses, but very seldom when they pull that job from you, you lose your identity, you lose your purpose, and you lose that strength. And so when you're disconnected from their system and you walk with the strength that they can see, it's not just walking strong physically, but they see you have purpose and they see the fire in your eyes. They want to investigate what the hell is this guy got going on, because it didn't come from us.
That's right.
See? And that's a threat, like seeing a ghost.
Oh, yeah. They look at you like you're an alien. When they see certain of us, they, sometimes I catch from the corner of my eye, they be staring at you like, how in the world this old, what they call us, is still walking around with his head up? That fascinates them, because they know what they've done to black men and continue to do. Oh, they know. A lot of them just admitting it now. But man, that is so true, because once you, and that's in all things, when you decide to cut ties with that system, they get angry. They get very, very angry. And the thing they get angry about is how many other black men are you going to influence? That's the one thing. I remember the scene in Malcolm X where one of the race soldiers said, "Oh, that's too much power for one man to have." Right. And
that's right.
So that's why when they look at one brother with a confidence like that, it's worrisome to them. That's the problem they're having now with the young brother. It's not so much, it's how many other people, because see, this is one time when that savior mentality worked in our favor, okay? Because our people are perceiving him like a savior. Well, rightfully so. He deserves that. But it's not because of a religion, it's because of what he's actually doing for our people.
That's right.
So when you look at education, we have been always educated and rewarded, like you said, to take these titles, but mainly to keep their system that we showed earlier in the graphs going, to power their system.
Right.
As long as you didn't get to a point where you're telling them what to do, or your community is benefiting from them, from what you're doing. So yeah, once you break away from that, they become angry at you. Right. And not only do they there are black people that become angry at you.
Yep.
And that's who they use to come at you. They don't use, white folks don't come at you no more. They ain't got to. They got a black parrot. They don't have to.
Yeah.
And then they can pick. I'll tell you about something that still turns my stomach whenever I see one of these stepping fetchings talking on, whether they're male or female. It still turns my stomach. I don't get angry like I used to anymore. I see it for what it is. But they're the ones that have to look in the mirror, not me. They're the ones that have to go to sleep at night. I don't know how they do it. I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't know how they do it. Now, I do know the frustration that comes from the things that our people are continually doing. I can see but it's not even that. They're regurgitating the points of white supremacists. They're not giving a critique. So let me put it another way. And even there was a white boy that shot one of them down and told them they were like a subway token. Because that's the truth in what he was saying. You can't deny that. But yet you still, so our people, the ones that are the stepping fetchings, I don't even call them coons no more. They're way beyond that. They're stepping fetchings. Because like I said, stepping fetching became the first black millionaire in Hollywood because he promoted these stereotypes that white people wanted to promote about our people at the time.
Right.
The laziest man in America, dumb, stupid, shiftless. Oh, and that's the other thing. When you separate from their system, then they begin to tell our people, oh, he's just stupid, or he's broke, or he's, what's the word I heard somebody refer to me as? He's one of these black men that's angry at the system, so he uses his knowledge to fight. No. We are a black think tank. I don't give a damn what you do. I spend my time educating my own people.
That's right.
And I don't live by narratives. That's the other thing they're angry. That's why they hate you so much, brother. Why they do what they're trying to do to discourage you, which they never can, because they ain't never been in a ring with a heavyweight champ. They ain't never had no belt. They ain't never had to do it. Everything was handed to them. Yet they say, well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Really? What boots are you actually referring to? What boots are you referring to? Because all the black folks I know don't have them. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go down the last few the points here in the list. Is that the next one is after your labor is being exploited for the benefit of the ruling class, then there's political disenfranchisement. Okay, and this is another, now this is spiritually based, because this is used to try to discourage you. Okay, so they may have limited or no political representation. You're talking about black folks and how they disengage you from this political movement that they have. unless you, of course, put on a hat and come, pick up their ideology. But you may hold have no political representation, and your voices are ignored or silenced by those in power. Now, don't that sound like what's going on today? We're going to erase your history. We don't want no black people speaking about their history. We want you to shut up and just dribble. We don't want you to educate black people on the truth. And if you do, we're going to penalize you. And so when you're not dependent on them, they become angry because but they'll find other ways, mainly through, they'll send different people and our people that have that vampire spirit. They'll come at us. And they'll take what little fiat they get to do this. The other thing is the other social ramification is not only do you feel powerless and voiceless and that you're being silenced, there's social inequality. And this is when the ruling class may maintain a hierarchy that favors their interests, leading to social stratification and discrimination against the minority class. So see, once they achieve what they have achieved in this political ideology that they have, an identity, and they have this bubble that you're outside of, then they create this social inequality amongst the 98.5%. And then there's exploitation. The ruling class may extract surplus value from the minority classes' labor, keeping them in a state of dependence. Okay, and limiting their ability to improve their lives. So again, it's this hamster wheel going around and around. All of the things that you're doing, then not only are they limiting your ability to move up a ladder or perceived social ladder, they're also working to prevent you from uniting with other black folks, giving you these, these 3-letter words, and then telling you that you're different from other black folks. This is gonna hurt us, bro. This one thing is gonna really, really hurt our people throughout the diaspora. This one thing that they have achieved, this one divide and conquer that they have achieved. And once they do this, then they're going to institute martial law. And what's going to happen is martial law is the replacement of a civilian government, okay, which was voted in by the people, by a military rule and the suspension of civilian legal processes like habeas corpus. Now, we already heard, I think I heard one of those neo-Nazis say that they're considering suspending habeas corpus. So now you're taking the teeth out of the Constitution. And they have the power to do this, okay? Don't fool yourself. They have the power to do this. Now, finally, the one social ramification that we still have is resistance, okay? Which we have learned that our biggest weapon in this state of resistance against this oligarchy is the fiat that we spend. You know what I mean? The truth. Yeah. That is our biggest against that map of those corporations that are in every state.
Yep.
That's the power you have. You saw what you can do when you mobilize together, and you need to say, oh no, you ain't getting away with that. That's where your power is. Now, however, the minority class may resist the ruling class through collective action, such as strikes, which we talked about, protests, not in the street, and political movements where you see that this is an ideology whose spirit is against you, then you have to formulate your own independent movement. You don't have to go along with what these crazy people are doing.
Right.
But martial law for military powers, martial law can continue for a specific or specified amount of time or indefinitely, suspending the civil liberties of its citizens. So yeah, brother, that is what we are facing today. And no matter what our people think, if they want to continue with these titles and feeling like, you know, people have their best interests at heart, we have proof that this is at every level of government and every division or agency in our government. They have a plan that's been developed 60 years ago by some of the most powerful people, or no, not some of the most, by the most powerful people in our government. The presidents of the United States who put this into motion, the secretaries of state who are, I believe, third in line from the presidency. I don't know if it's third in line or fourth. I think the Speaker of the House may be third in line, but they're in line of rulership in the government, okay? They make decisions that impact us at a global level. So, yeah, brother, I really believe this conflict, and our people always like to talk about this war in heaven. No, this war is right here.
Right here,
Because we know time and space, there is no such thing. So this war you're talking about in heaven is right here today. And you are the ones that they are fighting against. How? I mean, what is it going to take to convince our people? And you need to stop this where you got all these different churches talking about, oh, well, our pastor is this and we can't go to another church because this pastor is saying something. You need to stop this foolishness, okay? We need to have, since we have so many churches and our money is being diluted and going in, well, we know it's not benefiting us because it's going back in circulation on money, right? To the white banks. We know this. It ain't staying in our community because it's not circulating. We need to start confronting these people that are preaching to our people every day. And let me tell you something. I don't have nothing against pastors, just the ones that are openly leading our people down to slaughter, okay?
Yeah.
That know what they're doing. And I remember hearing somewhere where somebody confronted one of them, and he said, you know what? He said, if I did that, he said, I wouldn't have any parishioners. And he had a large congregation, I think about maybe 5,000 people.
That's his business, or that's how he's earning his money.
Business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, there's no way I could do that.
You see that?
Black people come here with the expectation that I am going to emotionally feed them, whether it's I don't know if he said whether it's true or not, but he said something in that vein. He said, I have to preach to them about Peter and Paul and all these people that we know, this is not their names, and all these scriptures that they have been taught and heard from different, mainly white preachers and black preachers, that they hold your feet to the fire. When you have a different interpretation of this, the real interpretation, then they hold your feet. They're going to go to another church. So in other words, what he was saying is, it's not worth me losing, because they're just going to go to a church where they're going to have itching ears. So like what our people do on the internet now. They run into they hear TikTok and the beefs and all, and these people constantly uploading constantly because they know that they're emotionally feeded. And the reason why they're doing this, okay, we know that there's something else they have planned. Whenever they take our people's attention off of something, with all of these uploads and all the evil, wicked stuff that they're doing to our people, their main purpose is to snowball you and then come with the knockout punch.
There you go.
And so with that, brother, I'll close. And you guys continue to keep doing the great work. You and the Queen, all the people in the chat room under the sound of my voice, which is a good thing, brother. The Land Spirit Network is powerful. It's a powerful force. As an army with a great general.
You helped to make it that way, brother. You helped to make it that way.
Yeah,
I said you helped to make it that way. Yeah, I want to say one thing before you go.
Yeah, okay.
Tracy J, on a parting thought, what she said, food for thought. If the USA is a superpower, why aren't we in the top 10% when it comes to healthcare, education, and satisfaction of life?
That's right.
That's a parting thought.
Yeah, that is Tracy J, you said?
Yeah.
That is very true. Because at the end of the day, we know that they use these words to make them seem like, I always like to use the the Wizard of Oz metaphor, where you got the little Albert Einstein looking man behind the curtain, and before Toto pull the curtain back, you see this big imposing figure snorting smoke at you. And you're frightened out of your mind. Like when that lion turned around and ran and jumped out that window. This is what the effect they have on us. But see, our people see through this smoke screen. Okay. And they know, they know now, our people know without a shadow of a doubt the truth. And this is what's going to sustain our people through these coming difficult days ahead. All right, brother Lance.
Thank you so much.
I'll talk to you again soon, brother.
Yes, I'll be here. Counting down until next Monday.
I know.
Thank you.
Hold on to those belts.
Always.
All right, peace and love.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Wrapping down another episode. Had a little technical difficulty with the sound, so I'm going through my phone, but yet I still have the computer on. There's one of the wires that might have been stripped a little bit, but we got through it. We got the information out there, and that's the main important thing. And I just want to thank everybody who rocks with me here. I'm always open for suggestions and different topics and different things. And so we're going to keep the ball rolling as always. And like I said, here, we're not afraid to talk about anything, any topic, anything you want us to cover. We'll do it in a bold fashion, uncompromising and without fear, because that's how we do. So yeah, there's opposition on social media, for platforms with followers. Of course, last February, last year, they knocked off, my platform. So the numbers are less, but it's not about the numbers. It's about the people who are behind it and the things that we talk about to help each other. It may have my name on it, but it's about all of us sharing the information, the text messages, the emails, and keeping us all alert as a community. And that's our job to do so. It's a wonderful thing to do and very fulfilling. And they'll never kill the fire inside of me no matter what, because I know that I was born to do this. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. So it's 9:15 my time and actually 5:15 East Coast time, and you can count back yeah, I might rest a little bit. I might do a little bit more. Don't be surprised if you see something else pop up. But pretty much for me for today, that might be it. Technical few things, but the work never stops. My brain never stops. And we're all about that work. So thank you all for being here tonight. Tomorrow is a new day. We're going to bring some more stuff. And let's keep it popping. But be aware and don't be deceived. Much love to you all. Lance Scurv out. Peace.
kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they said. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Can't be a real nigga, might get you canceled. Fuck the whole system, need the shit dismantled. Coppers treat a nigga like the utmost wanted. Tryna rule the block but don't know what goes on it. News got a story with a new take on me. Carrying out the window with the screw face on me. But I know that God love me when my blunt burn. 95 degrees and I can't get sunburn. Wonder when your government don't make me legal. Burn the whole city if I can't be equal. Get off my dick please Brad, I earn that. 400 years, how you still ain't learned that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Shout out to the crackers trying to gentrify the genre. Tell them free my niggas, middle finger to your honor. End of days coming down to seconds on the timer. Goofy niggas still trying to purchase that designer. About to buy a chopper, learn to grow my own food. Cause I don't like the look they give me in the Whole Foods. And when you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. But it ain't on me now, I'm limping cause my dick heavy. But ain't shit sweet, niggas think we thin. My whole attitude on MC Ren. It's my neighborhood now, Bob, I bought that. 400 years, how you still ain't caught that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less